25 details hidden across 8 Harry Potter films, most of which took fans decades to find. We're going through every single one. Dudley's shirt finally fits 6 films later. In the very first film, Harry is wearing one of Dudley Dursley's hand-me-down plaid shirts. Far too big for him, hanging off his scrawny frame like a tent. By the time Half-Blood Prince rolls around, that exact same shirt reappears on Harry. This time, it fits. 6 films and a full adolescence later, the Dursleys' cast-offs finally do. Nobody noticed for years because why would you be tracking the wardrobe continuity of a plaid shirt across a decade of cinema? Voldemort's robes fade with every Horcrux lost. When Voldemort is resurrected in Goblet of Fire, his robes are pure black. Every time one of his Horcruxes is destroyed after that, the color of those robes gets fractionally lighter. By the final battle, they've turned pale, almost gray, because Nagini is the only Horcrux he has left. As he loses the pieces of his fractured soul, the darkness literally drains out of him, visually, in his clothing. Someone at the costume department earned their pay and then waited 20 years for anyone to notice. Umbridge's outfits darken as her power grows. Dolores Umbridge works in the exact opposite direction. Her outfits begin in soft, sickly pink and grow progressively darker throughout the films as her power grows. By the time she's running the ministry, she's dressed like a bruise. The costume designers built an entire arc of corruption into her wardrobe, and most viewers just thought she had questionable taste. Ginny's smile vanishes when Cho is mentioned. During a Dumbledore's army meeting, Hermione mentions that Cho Chang keeps looking at Harry. In that exact moment, if you watch Ginny Weasley, her smile disappears instantly. She turns away with a completely blank expression. Not sad, not angry, just carefully neutral, which is somehow worse. This is a blink-and-you-miss-it piece of acting that conveys Ginny's feelings for Harry more efficiently than several scenes of actual dialogue. It happens in roughly 2 seconds, and most people are watching Harry. The Marauders map lists deaths in reverse. The Marauders map lists its creators in this order: Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, Prongs, or Lupin, Pettigrew, Sirius, and James Potter, respectively. That is also the reverse order in which they die. James dies first, Sirius second, Pettigrew third, and Lupin, listed first on the map, is the last of the 4 to go. Whether this was intentional design or a coincidence that the internet decided was intentional is unclear, but it is a genuinely eerie detail either way. Voldemort's portrait hides in the common room. Prisoner of Azkaban is the only film in the entire Harry Potter series in which Voldemort does not appear on screen. He is conspicuously absent, and yet, if you look at the Gryffindor common room in the background of certain scenes, there is a portrait of Voldemort hanging on the wall. He's there, just not there. Dobby and Winky appear at the World Cup. In Goblet of Fire, there's a brief wide shot of house elves in the crowd at the Quidditch World Cup, riding camels. 2 of them are Dobby and Winky. The Crouch family house elf, who, in the original books, begged Mr. Crouch to let her accompany Barty Crouch Jr. to the World Cup. Most people assumed Winky was cut from the films entirely, which she largely was, but she makes this single, wordless appearance that almost nobody caught. Fake Moody secretly guides Harry through the maze. In the same film, just before Harry enters the Triwizard Maze, the fake Alistair Moody, who is actually Barty Crouch Jr. in disguise, actively trying to deliver Harry to Voldemort, subtly points left. He's giving Harry a navigational hint. Keep going left through the maze. He's still steering Harry toward Voldemort at the finish line, but he can't help himself from being useful along the way. A villain with a methodology, if nothing else. Riddle's photos reveal the Horcrux cave location. When Dumbledore visits the young Tom Riddle at the orphanage in Half-Blood Prince, there are landscape photographs on the wall of Riddle's room, part of the boy's personal collection. Those photographs exactly match the coastal cave where Harry and Dumbledore later travel to retrieve Slytherin's locket. In the books, it's never explained how Dumbledore worked out the Horcrux's location. The film silently answers that question through set dressing. Hermione's missing uniform proves she time-traveled twice. During Hagrid's care of magical creatures class in Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione is wearing her school uniform. Then, partway through the scene, she isn't. The uniform is simply gone. This looks like a continuity error, the kind that gets flagged on film blogs with smug satisfaction. It isn't one. Hermione has already used the time turner by this point in the timeline. She's attending the class twice over, and the missing uniform is evidence of the second pass. You can also spot the time turner hanging around her neck if you look closely enough, which almost no one does. Giants used Quidditch goalposts as battle weapons. In the final battle, when the Death Eaters storm Hogwarts and Giants join the assault, Some of those giants are using Quidditch goalposts torn from the pitch as weapons. It's a blink and you miss it background detail during a chaotic sequence, and it says a lot about the scale of the attack without drawing any attention to itself. Oliver Wood, wherever he is during all of this, would not be coping. Narcissa Malfoy lies to Voldemort's face. When Voldemort declares Harry dead in front of the assembled Death Eaters and the people of Hogwarts, the Death Eaters erupt, laughing, celebrating, believing it. Narcissa Malfoy does not laugh. She knows Harry is alive because she's just checked his pulse herself in the forest and quietly lied to Voldemort's face. This is arguably the single most significant act of the entire final act. Lying to a Dark Lord who is also a master legilimens, someone capable of reading minds. And she pulls it off purely to find out whether her son is still breathing. She doesn't celebrate, she just waits. Penelope Clearwater's name spans 5 films apart. In Chamber of Secrets, nearly headless Nick passes Percy Weasley in the corridor and casually greets him with Miss Clearwater, a throwaway line referencing Penelope Clearwater, Percy's girlfriend. She and Hermione are both petrified by the basilisk later in the film. The film adaptation largely cuts Penelope from the story, but in Deathly Hallows, when Hermione is captured by Snatchers and asked for her name, the name she gives is Penelope Clearwater. It's a detail that only lands if you notice the line 5 films earlier, which essentially nobody did in real time. Slughorn drinks Felix Felicis before the battle. The night before the Battle of Hogwarts, Professor Slughorn is briefly seen walking through a corridor and drinking from a small vial. If you've been paying attention, you recognize what that is. Felix Felicis, also known as Liquid Luck, the potion Harry used to extract the true memory from Slughorn back in Half-Blood Prince. Slughorn survived the battle. Make of that what you will. Snape uses McGonagall's spells against Death Eaters. During Snape's duel with McGonagall in Deathly Hallows, Snape never once attacks her directly. Every spell McGonagall throws at him, he deflects. But he deflects them specifically toward the 2 Death Eaters standing behind him. By the time he escapes through the window, both Death Eaters are incapacitated. He then takes their wands. He can't protect the students openly without blowing his cover, so he engineers the entire confrontation to do it covertly. It is perhaps the most Snape thing Snape ever does, and it plays out in about 30 seconds with 0 dialogue. The Weasleys sold a screaming Umbridge doll. In Fred and George's joke shop, there's a small figure on display riding a unicycle. That figure is an Umbridge doll, and it is rigged to scream, "I will have order!" A direct callback to the moment Umbridge shouts that exact phrase at the centaurs in the Forbidden Forest just before they carry her away. The Weasley twins built a merchandised humiliation of their former High Inquisitor into their retail display. It requires no explanation. It is simply correct. Dobby's first and last words are identical. The first words Dobby ever says in the films are, "Harry Potter." The last words Dobby ever says in the films are also, "Harry Potter." From his introduction in Chamber of Secrets to his death in Deathly Hallows, the only name that consistently matters to Dobby is Harry's. The films frame his entire existence with it. It takes a moment to register, and then it absolutely does not leave you alone. Amelia Bones saved Harry before she died. In Half-Blood Prince, Harry and Hermione are reading a newspaper together and come across a report about a witch named Amelia Bones, found dead in her home. Most viewers clock this as background world building, another casualty of Voldemort's return. But Amelia Bones was specifically the member of the Wizengamot who voted in Harry's favor during his disciplinary hearing in Order of the Phoenix, the one that could have had him expelled from Hogwarts and stripped of his wand. She saved his place in the wizarding world. He reads about her death in a newspaper 2 years later, and the film gives it about 4 seconds of screen time. Sirius's mirror could have prevented everything. After Sirius dies in Order of the Phoenix, Harry returns to Grimmauld Place and tears the room apart in grief. In the wreckage, he finds a small, 2-way mirror, a gift from Sirius. The mirror was designed to let them communicate with each other at any time. Harry never used it. He didn't know it existed. Sirius gave it to him, and Harry set it aside, unopened. It's not a plot hole. It's something worse. A perfectly workable solution that sat unused in a drawer while everything fell apart. Neville also fulfilled the prophecy in the end. The prophecy that marked Harry as Voldemort's target stated that the one with the power to defeat the Dark Lord would be born to parents who had thrice defied him. Born as the 7th month dies. Harry fits this description. So does Neville Longbottom. Voldemort chose Harry, and that choice, not fate, is what set Harry's life on its course. During the final battle, when Harry appears to be dead and the fight seems lost, it is Neville who steps forward with the Sword of Gryffindor and destroys Nagini, the final Horcrux. Both boys fulfilled the prophecy, just in different ways. Ron uses the killing curse once. Ron Weasley uses the killing curse exactly once. In the final battle, when he and Hermione are cornered by Nagini and every other spell they try proves useless against the snake, Ron casts Avada Kedavra. It doesn't work. Nagini survives, but he uses it. Ron Weasley, who spent 7 films firmly on the right side of the law, uses an unforgivable curse in the middle of a war to protect Hermione. The film doesn't draw attention to it. It just happens and moves on. A billboard quietly confirms Dumbledore's sexuality. When Dumbledore first leaves baby Harry on the Dursleys' doorstep in Sorcerer's Stone, there's a billboard visible in the background. It's a perfume advertisement. The copy reads, "Tonight, make a little magic with your man." It's a background prop in a wide shot, visible for a few seconds, and it's a quiet acknowledgement of Dumbledore's sexuality. Something Rowling confirmed publicly years after the books were finished, but never addressed directly in the text or on screen. The films planted it in the background of the very first scene, and nobody saw it coming. If you want more of this, all the magic systems the Harry Potter films introduced and then refused to explain, that breakdown is right here. Watch it now.